Hello, how can I help you?
Hi, my name's Dave Bird. I have an appointment today. It's probably under Lil Dicky, actually. I'm a rapper, so.
Okay, and who are you here to see?
Snoop Dogg. Says here Snoop D-O-G-G.
Oh yeah, he's right down the hall. First door to your right. Give him a knock and he should be right with you.
Okay.
Man, do the hook.
I'm about to be professional. Homie, I'm professional. So, maybe like a low voice type thing.
Welcome to our first podcast. This is our pilot episode. So introducing the hosts here, we got Sam, Adi, I'm Z, Andrew, and Brad. And our guest today is Tommy Nutter, and he'll be our frequent guest and contributor. So let's start it off.
Very happy to be here, guys. Very happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you. And Tom's calling in from London, so let's discuss a little bit of Premier League footy here.
Tom, what's the scene like over there? What do people think about Van Gaal, first of all, keeping that job still?
Yeah, it's been pretty intense on Van Gaal, to be honest. The press have been going after him for 2-3 weeks now, trying to build the pressure on him. I think he just about saved his job on the other night with a 0-0 draw.
Like my friend is saying, the fans are saying that. Now the fans are shouting every week, Louis van Gaal's army! Louis van Gaal's army!
I think it was a better performance, and I think that's taken the sting out of things a little bit. But if they don't win one soon, then I think he'll be gone. I don't think he should go. I think he's done a decent job. I think there's too much that's gone into him so far to pull out now. But I thought the performance was better, and I think he's got a little longer in the job.
You think Rooney is part of the problem?
I think they need a striker. I don't think he's a problem. I think they do need someone who's a bit more of an all-rounder up there. I know they've brought in Martial, who's done a bit here and there, but he's still young and needs a lot to improve still. And I think with Rooney, he's someone now he's in his latter years, he probably relies a bit more on service, and that's one thing that Man U haven't done great this season. Yes, they've had a good defensive shape, they've been good defensively, but in terms of actually creating numerous chances and playing people in, getting crosses in the box, it's not been what it used to be. So I don't think he is the problem. I still think there's a big role for him to play. I do think for them to step up for the next half of the season,
right,
they're going to have to bring someone in during the January window probably.
He's just not the game changer anymore, right? Like the world-class player that
everyone thought he was going to be.
For a while.
There's a couple of things that I completely have to question. How is drawing against what place are Chelsea in? 16th, 17th? Fighting the relegation battle. How does drawing Chelsea right now make Van Gaal look decent? I feel like.
No, I think though it's not the result though. I think the big thing about the game the other night was the fact that Man U were suddenly playing a little bit more on the front foot. I think throughout Van Gaal's spell there so far, there's always been that criticism, particularly from the United fans, that we're not playing the same way he used to in terms of playing on the front foot, going after teams, playing attacking football. And I think in the game, in the 0-0 draw, I know it was 0-0 and they didn't score, but there was more of an emphasis on getting the ball forward, taking chances, and getting people in behind. So, yes, I know a 0-0 against a team that's currently not doing very well doesn't look great on paper, but I think the performance was much better. And also as well, you've got Chelsea now under Hiddink, which I think will improve. And I think you're talking about a Chelsea side that probably will be top 6 by the end of the season. So looking at the bigger picture, I still think it was a game which has given Van Gaal a bit more time.
Hold on a second. Chelsea top 6 side?
No, not a chance. Top 6. No way. Who does anybody here think?
How many more games are left?
We're about halfway through the season, right?
Through.
So.
And they're in 16th, 17th?
I put $20 on Chelsea to win the title about 4 months ago.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
6-1 odds. And I thought it was good. Or 4-1. I can't even remember.
So
what a joke.
Z threw $20 away. All right.
So those guys basically quit on Mourinho, right?
Which I actually think that might be the
I think it's. I don't think anyone knows exactly what's happened. I know obviously the situation at the start of the season, the first game where they've had that issue with the doctor going on the pitch, and obviously Mourinho's not been happy with that, and the doctor's left the club, and I don't know whether there was quite a strong relationship between the players and the doctor, and that might have affected their view on Mourinho. But to be honest, I think when you look at the summer spending and you look at the Premier League as a whole and on who they've brought in, particularly Man City bringing in so many quality players or spending a lot of money at least, I really question whether Mourinho was happy in that summer period with the players that were brought in. I mean, Drogba went out and Falcao came in, and that's probably a downgrade given what Drogba means to Chelsea and there previously. And I think even in terms of performances, I think Drogba probably at this stage of his career is still ahead of Falcao. I think it's a mixture of a number of things. I don't think it's one thing where you can say the players have definitely quit on Mourinho. Perhaps some of them may have done, maybe a sprinkle of them might have done, but I think it goes all the way back into the summer where the right players weren't brought in. They went back late for pre-season. The doctor, in that situation in the first game, I think it's all come together. And I think as well, you just look at Mourinho's lifespan, he does 3 years at a club and then he's gone. So I think when you look at it, all those things together have caused Chelsea to have such a poor season. But I think he'll be back though, Mourinho. He's still a quality coach, but there's a number of reasons why it went wrong this year. It's not just the fact that the players quit on him.
Anybody think he's going to be back at United soon?
I think it makes too much sense. They should have gone for Mourinho after Ferguson left, and now they can correct that mistake.
I think part of the problem that we're seeing right now is that I think players are too easy to quit on their manager. I think there's no pressure on the player, and I think Mourinho's mistake was that he stuck to his guys and stayed loyal instead of, benching maybe a guy or two and putting in a young guy in there to just shake things up.
We've seen this with Mourinho before, though. At Madrid, he has a history of, kind of isolating some of the core players and upsetting a lot of the dynamics of the team. We saw this at Madrid with how he treated Iker Casillas, and it turned everyone against him. And I think that, that couldn't have been good for the locker room. And maybe something like this happened at Chelsea. I don't know. I think a lot had to happen though for them to, I guess, crash the way they have over the last season.
I suppose maybe he learned from that situation and tried not to bench any good player to avoid shaking things up even further.
I don't know.
But
certainly it's not all the manager's fault though. No. I agree with that when you guys are talking about.
I think part of the blame has to go on players like Hazard. He is playing. Nowhere near what he could do, actually. Like, last year he was a much better player. And
PFA Player of the Year last year, wasn't he? And then this year he doesn't have a goal.
It's embarrassing. Actually, I follow the Bayern Munich boards, and Bayern Munich was interested in him. And then seeing how he's been playing lately, now nobody really wants him. Nobody wants to, take away time from Costa or even Robin when he's back healthy. That's shocking to say because, Hazard is a guy that everybody wanted just a year ago, and now people are starting to question him a little bit.
I think fans-wise, in terms of the Chelsea fans, they're on Mourinho's side. You probably caught it on the footage that you get over there, but the game after he was sacked, there were a lot of signs up, and they were chanting his name. And a lot of the games this season, when it wasn't going well, the fans were still very much on his side. So I think from actually inside the club, in terms of a fan's point of view, they wanted him to stay, and they're sad that he's gone. I think if you go outside of the club though, and you go into the media and to a general football fan over here, everyone was just thinking, when's he going to go? Because it just kept on going on. And what's interesting is that I was thinking about this at the start of the season when it wasn't going well. I was thinking, if this was the older Abramovich, he would have been gone way before.
Exactly.
And if you look at the fact that Klopp went to Liverpool, I was surprised that when Klopp was available, Abramovich didn't go, right, Mourinho out, get Klopp in, qualify for the top four, and that will be our set then for the following season. So I'm really surprised he didn't do that. So then when he was sacked, which was about maybe 2 months after that period, I was thinking, well, if you're not going to sack him earlier, what about it now, where actually you've not got much of a chance to really catch up in the league? So for me it was surprising, but I think it does show that there must have been something wrong there in the camp for Abramovich to say, right, I'm going to cut my losses, and he's going to go, because, I mean, he signed a massive contract in the summer.
Yep.
And by sacking him, got a massive compensation bill to pay.
But didn't Mourinho only take the 1 year so he could coach the next 4 or 3 or whatever was left? He only took 1 year compensation?
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware of that. I thought he was owed the entire length of his contract.
I remember reading something that he only took the 1 year. That way he would be able to
Right.
coach as soon as possible.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Right, I see.
I don't know. Maybe that's not true.
I think you're right. Klopp would have been a much better fit at Chelsea than at Liverpool, because Chelsea has the talent already, and they just need that motivational manager, which he is, and he brings his assistant who does all the tactical stuff, and he's not great tactically.
Do you know what, though, Z? Do you actually think the talent's there, though?
I think
Do you really think that?
I think
you
the
really look
talent.
at Chelsea's team on paper, and you're talking about, the likes of Gary Cahill, Ivanovic, John Terry's now. He's probably he's slightly over the hill. I still think he can contribute, but he's not what he was. As Piliqueta playing left back,
I think he's fine.
Ramirez and Matic as a midfield too. Yes, the front four are talented. I know Hazard and Costa and Willian and Oscar they can all contribute up there. But I think, and this goes back to what I said earlier about that summer spending, I think Mourinho knew. I think he actually overachieved last year. I think the team that he's currently got, or the squad of players that he's currently got, is not good enough. And I think,
But
I don't think there are great players there to suddenly bring a coach in and make it miles better. They need to be doing better. Now, what they're doing now is nowhere near good enough, but I still think they're a little bit off Man City, for example, in terms of strength of squad and strength of first team.
So you're saying that you just said they're a little bit off of Man City. Chelsea are sitting in near the relegation zone. I can see.
Yeah, I know.
I can see that.
I know they're way off what they
with
should be.
players.
No,
What I'm trying to say is that I don't think that. I know G just mentioned about the quality players there. I don't think they are anymore. I think if you look at Ivanovic, he's not the player that he was 18 months ago. The same with John Terry. And I think if you look back at the results from last season, Chelsea were fantastic up until Christmas. But the second half of the season, they were just getting over the line. They weren't really producing great performances. So I think Mourinho saw this coming 6 months ago. He tried hard for John Stones in the summer. He really wanted him and didn't get him.
Dodged a bullet there.
But
One last thing. Mourinho was the... Did we lose Tom?
Yeah,
I'm still there.
Are you still
He's
here?
back.
Mourinho was the coach that saw Kevin De Bruyne dominate the Bundesliga with Werder Bremen, brought him back for 6 months, thought he wasn't good enough, and sold him to Wolfsburg. Now he's back, and he's dominating the league. It's just a stupid decision on his part. So I think he thought that he had so much talent there that he could let go of a player like Kevin De Bruyne.
Same with Lukaku.
Yeah.
It's similar. They still have way more talent than teams like Swansea, Crystal Palace, Everton, Newcastle. All those teams are miles in front of them. Leicester is in first place, second place. There's no comparing the talent on those teams compared to Chelsea.
They should be a lot higher, but they just haven't bought well this summer, and that's played a factor. I said earlier there's been a combination of things. Now I don't think it's just the fact that the players are quitting them. I think there's part of that maybe, but I think the squad wasn't improved. They went back late for pre-season. They've had all that thing that's going on with the doctor as well, which is still ongoing. So I think there's a lot of things that came together to make this happen. And yes, the players they've got should be a lot higher in the league, but I still don't think on paper they've got a championship top level team now.
All right, now we're going to move into the goal of the week. So, was this a stroke of luck or stroke of brilliance? Shaqiri's goal against Everton. Let's take a look at that real quick. So here comes an incredible cross. Perfect delivery.
I've seen it.
And there goes the finish.
You've seen it.
I've seen it too many times.
Where is
This is
Shaqiri
the-
from? Is he
Albania.
Albania?
Yeah, it's in Albania.
Wait,
He's got some game. I think that was definitely not luck. He tried to angle that.
just so we don't get a bunch of YouTube comments, Swiss international, right?
Oh, yeah.
Where was he before Bayern? Oh, that celebration shows you. He
Yeah.
He was in, was it Basel or?
Look at that smile, you know. He's a little short, stocky guy.
He's a little
you know?
cheeky
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, he is.
I mean, I
Short,
personally-
stocky, but he's got game. I gotta
So-
respect it.
When I saw this, I definitely thought this was a just pure skill, an incredible finish. Now, Brad said that
You
that
think
was
it's a horrendous cross?
No, he said it was a great
It's a
cross. Right?
it's
Oh,
a
no,
shocking
he's-
cross. Look. He looks over his shoulder. He's looking for somebody coming back across. He sees Arnautovic running on. He reaches out as far as he can. Gets a piece of the ball perfectly, half volley, great. It goes in. No way in hell did he mean to do that.
Yeah, I've got to say, I've got to come in there. I
I
agree
could
with Brad.
see that.
This is for two reasons. The first one is that as you watch back the goal, you can see him check his shoulder and look at Arnautovic in the middle, as
Exactly.
if he's going to put it in there. And the second thing is with Shaqiri. I mean, how often have you seen Shaqiri shoot with his right foot, especially in that situation where that's a real challenge? Ball's over his shoulder with pace on. He's running through on goal. He's being closed down. He's got to delicately half volley it and clip it over the keeper. I'm just not having that gone through his mind to do that.
to do that with his weak foot. That's exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that's not the
I don't know,
that's not the
man.
popular opinion, because if you look online, people are saying there's no way this is luck. This is a pure skill finish. But
It's tough.
has he had a post game interview about this?
I will say that, like, if you go off the fact that he looked over his left shoulder, I mean, it's a split moment. I think whenever we all play, we're always constantly glancing around like that. Doesn't mean we're going to necessarily play there.
Right.
But it's hard to say.
When he glances over his left shoulder,
So he's
a
definitely.
good decision would be to try nodding it back across to Arnautovic. That would be a good decision. To go to try getting that on target it's ridiculous.
He does take a look at the keeper, though. He first looks to his left, then he looks straight ahead into the keeper, and then the question is,
I think we might be beating a dead horse at this point.
Yes, we are.
Do you have footage from this game of the penalty kick? Arnautovic, 93rd minute. Let's look at that next and see what... Tom, remember that penalty kick?
Yeah,
What'd you
I've got
think?
my view on this one as well.
You what?
I've got my view on this one already.
Okay,
All right.
one sec. Let us watch it here, and then you and Brad can argue this one out.
I need to bring my FIFA rulebook out. Left it in my garage.
Do you really have one?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's from like it's from like 98 when I was a ref.
That's really cool.
That's horrendous. Who's got a FIFA rule book?
Did.
But yes, Tom, they play quarters here at the youth level.
15-minute quarters. Wowzers. I think actually we might do that as well, actually.
You can't have
That's why
7-year-old
you
kids
suck
running out for
just
40
as
minutes
bad
straight.
as us.
I was ready to ridicule your whole name and then realised you did the same thing.
Oh, you can if you want to ridicule us for getting rid of headers, right?
Oh,
At the youth
God.
stage?
Yeah, that's right.
Crazy stuff.
There's
No,
there's
headers
good
allowed, huh?
science there that kids under 14 don't have the strong enough neck muscles to support properly heading a ball without. It's true, man. You see all these studies in the NFL.
They need to do
Classic
a
stuff,
concussion
mate.
for a
Classic
soccer
stuff. What's
Will Smith movie.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're reviewing this penalty here now. This clear penalty.
Ah.
Let's see here if we can.
it's pure highlights of the penalty
This is
shot.
a penalty shot. Anyways, it's a penalty.
It's a nice PK where he slips and falls.
Arnautovic is having a hell of a run. He's an annoying man, but man, is he playing well.
Ibra light.
Yeah, Ibra Light.
He's the Ibra nobody likes.
And he's a midfielder. Is he a midfielder?
I think he's like a left midfielder, winger.
What's his nationality?
left
Austrian,
winger?
but
Plays
he
off the
is
front
all
or play out
Austrian.
wide as well.
What
He's
is
played up top
Austrian?
sometimes. He's been good
Oh,
though.
really?
Yeah, yes. Annoying Stoke.
I saw him play. Remember seeing him play. In fact, I saw him play must have been back in like 2009. I was over in Holland. Saw him play live. And I came back and I talked to Yuzi about him, saying he's the new Ronaldo.
Oh, I remember that.
I thought that was Tarabt or whatever.
No, that was for Tottenham.
No. It was Arnautovic.
Yeah, you
I don't
talked
know who he
about-
was playing for, but he was playing against Twente when Steve McLaren was in charge.
What was he?
He was a lazy man, though.
Yeah.
He walked around, but he had good ability, though.
Looks like he's putting in more of a shift this year from the games I've seen.
Yeah, well, there was like an analysis on TV the other day about him on Sky Sports, and they were looking at him tracking back and cutting things out and working up and down, basically. So I think Mark Hughes is getting a bit more out of him. Well, what does Brad think?
So at first I thought no way a penalty because Clattenburg looks over to the linesman, it looked like, to decide for him when he was right there. I think Stone slides in, gets a little bit of the ball, and I think it's enough to not be a penalty. I can see how it's called because Arnautovic goes down, but Arnautovic doesn't appeal or anything really. It's just a half-hearted appeal. So I don't think it's a penalty. I see how it's given. It's really frustrating considering if that's a penalty, Coleman could have had a penalty earlier in the game. Everton have just awful luck with penalties this year. I don't think we've had one penalty in the Prem, and we've conceded I don't know how many. So I don't think it's a penalty.
What do you think, Tom?
But I'm biased.
Look, Brad, to be honest, I mean, I've seen it a few times now, and he just nicks the ball. I know he's stretching, but he just nicks it. I think people were saying that maybe the follow through on his right leg comes across, and people are saying, all right, well, that's where the penalty's given. But for me, he nicks it. I don't think his trailing leg makes any difference to Arnautovic. I think he was going down already anyway. So for me, I think if you give him those, you're going to have to give a lot of penalties. So for me, it's not one.
Yeah, if you guys saw the ball actually get nicked, I couldn't see it. I only saw it shortly, but yeah, if that happened, I agree.
I've heard the argument that it doesn't matter if the ball's been nicked or not. There's nothing in the rule book that says anything about getting the ball. I don't know if that's true. I can't see that.
For me, looking at it looked like the ball was still kind of in his path, within his ability to get it, had his legs not been taken out by the follow-through leg.
And I think you're right. That's kind of the way it's. If it happened the opposite way, if it was our player that got the ball barely got nicked, I feel like our player could have still played it, and then he got taken down, I would want a penalty. So it's frustrating. It happened to us. We didn't get one earlier, so it's harder to take. But
the thing is, I don't think he's trailing leg though. I don't think that it's not as if he nicks the ball. Arnautovic stays up and then his trailing leg kicks him and then he goes down.
Oh yeah, true.
Arnautovic he's already going down from when he's nicked the ball. So I just don't see how that trailing leg really affects things. But what I would say on this one is that I think I think John Stones has got to be careful because I know he's a player that everyone's talking a lot about, but it's not as if he doesn't dive in quite a bit.
He dives in a lot.
Even though I don't think it's a penalty, I think it might be good for him personally because he does like to chuck himself around a little bit, and obviously he's not got away with this one. So perhaps he should stand on his feet a bit more.
I agree. I think he's a bit naive.
Are we sure that he even touched the ball? I mean, it's really hard to tell.
Yeah, I didn't see. I never saw him hit the ball, but apparently from other angles, he definitely.
He does touch it a little bit.
Yeah.
Tom, you guys watch this game in 4K?
4K, what's that?
Never mind.
Is that Ultra HD?
That's it.
Yeah.
No, but there's only a select few channels that have got that now. So, what channel the game was on didn't have it, so I couldn't see it in Ultra HD, unfortunately.
All right.
But I've got a trained eye though, Z, so it doesn't matter. I could have non-HD and I'd still be able to see it.
Well, I think it's past Tom's bedtime now. I think he's having to.
Yeah, it's been good, lads. I'm looking forward to the final cut. Don't go all Billy Walshners, Z, all right? I want to see it sometime this year.
Yeah.
Which gives you 2 days.
What we were discussing earlier about lost footage. You got some experience with that?
No.
So, Tom is deciding to record a documentary of our season.
Oh right, yeah. That's Sterling's fault, though, isn't it?
We weren't talking about the other video, Tom.
Do you remember that though? Do you remember I put camcorder and all the tapes in his car, in his boot, right?
Yeah, you guys gotta give us some
Before the break.
background about
Okay.
the story
It
because
must,
we
it
don't
must
know
have
what
been
you're
before
talking
Christmas
about.
break.
Neither
I put it
do.
all in there. I said, Sterling, look, here's all the stuff. Here's the camcorder. Here's all the tapes. I'm going to put it in here. Then we go back for the next semester. He says, oh, no, I haven't got it. I said, well, I know where I put it. I put it right in there. So I can't believe I got the blame for that.
So Tom decided
I went
to.
through the whole semester.
Oh, shut up.
Everything.
Shut
I
up.
looked everywhere. Filmed the recording, did some like great shots, interviews, everything. Stop. Take it.
Okay. These need a background.
Just
Shut up.
Do nothing. Do nothing.
Brad, give us a little background on the
Okay.
story.
So Tom is supposed to do was going to do a documentary of our season at WT, West Texas A&M. Shout out. And so he has all this footage from the training tables and the training room, in the locker room after wins, after losses, some impressions of the coaches, all this stuff that you just kind of have nowadays from championship teams and all that, you know. And he has a lot of video, and then all season somehow he says he puts it in Sterling's car and Sterling loses it.
Can we please bring Sterling onto the podcast next week? He can give the side of the story.
I didn't do it.
All right. He's out in Austin now.
All right, Tommy, you disconnecting or you staying on?
I'm disconnecting, mate. It's been great.
All right, mate. We'll get stuff. We'll get more stuff going soon here. All right.
I'll try to get it up tomorrow.
Make me sound really intelligent.
We will. It's gonna take a lot of work, man.
He's already British. I mean.
All right. Later, Tom. Talk to you next week.
Bye, later.
Cheers.
Later.
Okay, right now you got your 10-year-old son. He wants to go to one game. He can pick any game on the schedule. Is he wanting to go see Daddy, let me go see LeBron, or does he want to go see Curry?
He wants to see. I think he's going to want to see Curry.
I'm thinking that
what the
now
Warriors have done
it's
this year has been historic.
Yeah, it's
been historic
shifted
what
to
they've done.
Curry, and I think that's phenomenal. He's been in the league, how many years? Not that many. Is he still in the first contract?
Second. They
Second.
got him for cheap. He's on $11 million a year. When he was injured, they signed him.
Mm-hmm.
Greatest bargain probably.
So I think
in
the
league.
nice thing about Curry and the reason why he's so appealing to just general people is because, looking at him, he's not the physical specimen that LeBron was, and so he gives someone that a lot of kids can aspire to emulate.
Yeah,
and I
he's
think
relatable to everybody, like everyman type of player.
right. Because this is a guy that. Sure, his dad was, an NBA All-Star as well, and, he's not short, but looking at him on the court comparatively to the other players, he's not much, he's not bigger, he's not faster, he's not stronger, but he's kind of gotten to where he has through a lot of hard work, and so,
He's just.
I heard that Mark Jackson, I don't know if y'all heard these comments that he made, but he was somehow blaming Curry. Did y'all hear that?
I thought about this, though. Steph Curry's great. Steph Curry's the MVP. He's a champion. Understand what I'm saying when I say this. To a degree, he's hurt the game. And what I mean by that is I go into these high school gyms, I watch these kids, and the first thing they do is run to the three-point line. You are not Steph Curry. Work on the other aspects of your game. People think that he's just a knockdown shooter. That's not why he's the MVP. He's a complete basketball player.
He was
talking about how he's
saying that-
changing the game.
He's saying that Curry is not good for basketball.
Yeah.
He's teaching kids just to go jack threes all day.
When did he say this? Before he came?
Recently.
I read
This
that
was, I
article,
think,
too.
during the game maybe. And I'm thinking, I disagree, but I see where he's coming from.
Sounds a bit bitter
Kids
to me.
have been jacking up threes
Yeah.
from the get-go.
Yeah.
There's always going to be kids jacking up threes. I just think maybe Curry being so good as a shooter, maybe that people are just drawn to it and they want to. I don't know.
So I'm curious to see what some of the older players of the NBA have to say about him, because I think back in the day, the 3-point stripe was kind of it wasn't something that they utilized very often, and the NBA really wasn't played out there all that much. And so that's kind of shifted nowadays. And now, a good 3-point shooter is a pretty significant weapon, as we see with Curry. And so it's interesting to see how some of the older guys are reacting to it. And it seems like, from what I've read, most of them are okay with it. Most of them think he's a very talented player.
But to me still, though, I don't think Golden State would be near as good if they did not have Draymond Green. I think he's the one guy that makes them go every single night. If they didn't have him, I think they would probably have, I would say, about 10 losses by now.
Back to the Mark Jackson thing, blaming Curry for that. Isn't it also analytics showing the 3-point shot is a better shot than a mid-range shot, which was the bread and butter back in the day. So if you want to blame Curry, that's fine, but I mean, look at it's more analytics and that sort of
thing. If you guys
thinking.
look at the shot chart from the Houston Rockets, it's all it is inside the paint or 3-point shots.
Exactly.
There's just nothing in the middle.
And Morey's all about
That's
analytics.
all about analytics right there.
Yeah,
But
it's a money ball for basketball, right? Shoot threes or only close twos. Don't shoot in between
it makes
because
sense.
the percentages are higher if you're closer to the rim, and you get rewarded by one more extra point if you shoot a three. So, I don't think that's a bad strategy. I just, when you're in the playoffs and it's a 7-game series, like, does that stuff wash itself out? I
mean, so far this season it hasn't.
Yeah.
But let's watch this highlight. I mean, this duel right here is pretty much from towards the end of the second quarter, and pretty much Curry and Caspi going at it. This type of shooting, this quick release, though, I mean, we've never had anyone like this.
It's insane, isn't it?
Yeah.
It looks like he's just kind of throwing it up.
He's becoming must-see TV. Like, whenever there's a Warriors game on, you want to watch.
Right. Look at that range from the parking lot.
It's just, growing up, no one would ever take shots from that far out, so far beyond the 3-point.
Yeah. But you got to appreciate Caspi, though, here, not backing off at all. He's like, you know what? I'm going to go at it. Here you go. Boom.
I like his bench going off,
Bench is
erupting
going
every
crazy.
time.
So you know what?
That's the best part of highlights. The crowd and the bench going nuts after their players.
And the Golden State bench doesn't give a damn. This is business as usual.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. This
is like the Kings' best game. They're going nuts. This is just a regular season game.
But watch, this is basketball. I mean, on the next possession up. I mean, just watch Curry. I mean, he's being defended fairly well. It's just the picks. I mean, look at that. I mean, he's right on it.
No one expects a shot from
He's got a
out there.
hand up in his face. He's 4 feet off the line.
But now they need to expect it.
Yeah.
Look at this. He's doing the same
Boom.
shit.
Wow.
Heat check.
How fun would it have been to be there? Watching
Is Caspi's coach okay with this? I know they're just like, oh, that's
he's
Curry.
ran him a lot, man.
But
he's actually got. I think
if you're coaching him, you're just like, yeah, go ahead.
Look at this.
It's the Sacramento Kings whose GM is Vlade.
Look at the amount of scoring in
I don't
2
think
minutes.
they give a damn.
Look at this.
How many threes
That's
between
awesome.
the two of them?
Jeez.
Out of this game? I think Caspi hit 9. How many did Curry hit?
Wow. I think he hit 7 in this spell, if I remember right.
Curry only scored 23 that game, so. Only.
Look at this, the speed of play too. I mean, you can't even set up anything.
Look at that. Just go spot up for 3.
So yeah, any country. Look at this.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh man,
Just-
how good is that? The dribbling that he has is also a
the
weapon
balance.
for
I
him.
mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to compare stuff between soccer and,
Yeah,
and
between
basketball. But
playing
you
that.
kind of look at Messi though, the way he stays in control despite going left and right. The ball's always
Curry
with
does
him.
that,
He's got that same
And
balance and agility.
you have so many guys. You have like JJ Bareas, you have Jimmer Fredettes, you have
Look at that
Kemba Walkers. They're all small guys with crazy dribbles, and it seemed like they all had pretty good jump shots. But I don't know what separates this guy from all of them by so much. I don't know how he can do it so consistently.
I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like he's just a better shooter, and that just is based on more practice.
Sometimes you're born with a certain amount of it, and
Can-
I think some of it is him. That's what he has,
I feel like at some point it can't be more practice. Like you only
Yeah.
have a certain amount of time.
But let's look at the contract he's on, man. Golden State got the deal of a lifetime.
Yeah,
They signed him when he was rolling his ankles.
When he's
every
rolling
game.
his ankle, he's getting injured a lot.
They
Yeah.
got him for $10 million a year.
Oh well,
$10 million a year. I mean, come on, he's
they're gonna have to pay
a
eventually.
20, 25 mil guy, and
Wow, look at that.
They got a deal. They definitely got a
they
deal.
a hell of a
But
deal.
remember, he
so-
wasn't a for sure thing back then. I mean,
it was a risky deal
No
still.
one blinked. No one blinked when that
I
deal was
feel
made.
like his younger brother is now playing, right? He's on a roster. I saw a highlight recently. He's playing games.
He tried jacking up a 3 in the middle of Curry's.
But
plays for the Kings, right?
Only reason he's playing is because his brother is playing good. I think
You
that.
think?
I think that they're somehow influencing. It's a Seth Curry factor. Everybody loves Curry. Somehow it's like, hey.
How do you think
let's bring
Christmas
this
dinner
guy
was
in, you know?
at the Curry house? Hey, Steph, good game. Seth, not such a good game.
Yeah.
Well, this game they played each
It's
other,
like,
right?
yeah, Seth
Man.
shot a 3 in the
Oh, that was
middle
him
of that.
missing it. Okay.
I don't know if I'm the
Yes.
only one that believes in Seth, but man, that guy can shoot too.
He
I feel
can.
like he can have a career, but
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know why he can't stick with teams.
He's a few years behind
Yeah,
Steph, age-wise, right? So
I believe so.
maybe he can.
Although he looks older.
I think everybody looks older than Steph.
Yeah.
Best shooter ever, though, right? No dispute.
He's
Yeah.
definitely
I
on his
think
way.
now
He's
the
on his
debate
way,
is-
you know.
Best player ever.
He's definitely the
Not
best shooter,
yet.
right? Because
I think with best player ever, you got to go on titles and stuff like
I think
that.
you also have to
got-
go off of the
You
the,
know.
the amount of balance that
Yeah.
what they can bring on all aspects of the game. You know,
Still early
you
in
can
his
get
career.
you can get into the whole discussion with Jordan and all those guys and how they contributed defensively, offensively,
Yeah.
rebounds, assists, everything.
But there shouldn't be a question about whether he's the best shooter because if you look at any of the other best shooters, they're all spot-up shooters almost.
yeah,
And they all
Ray Allen-
improve
Ray Allen
over their
can do it
career.
Off the dribble, but
yeah.
He's
but
already
this guy's
doing-
off the
he's
dribble,
doing
Yeah,
off the
really
dribble,
good.
Yeah.
off double teams
Shots on a dime, shoots it
with the
switch.
same percentage. So
Yeah.
I think the question
Good
is
for him.
how ridiculous is his legacy going to be when all is said and done? I think it's going to be amazing.
Longevity is going to play a big thing.
Yeah.
There's playing during the
there's
most
a lot-
challenging time in the NBA too. I think it is. There's so many quality teams right now, and if he can win a couple more titles in the next 4 years, I mean that's gonna do wonders for I think his history.
Maybe
Legacy.
we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah,
It'll be
the
fun.
NBA's back, kind of, right? There was some years like
Yeah.
where it was
Yeah.
kind of fading down, but I feel like there's some good talent around.
Although I think it is a little bit quieter than it was the last few years with LeBron leaving Miami. There isn't that team that everybody hates.
Yeah,
That's what's missing. Kobe's Lakers are weak.
Curry's way too likable.
Miami's,
I think
Miami.
there's been too much. There's been a lot of moving around of players too that kind of
Yeah.
takes away some of the bitterness. Like going back in the day, Larry Bird was always playing for the Celtics. Magic Johnson was always playing for the Lakers. Michael Jordan was always playing for the Bulls. And then you had Isaiah Thomas and the
Yeah.
Detroit Pistons, and it's like those players. They were iconic for those teams, and they stayed at those teams.
Yeah.
So those
Build
teams,
up the rivalries.
they had so much more identity to them. So
Yeah,
watching them
absolutely.
battle was so much more fun.
Mhm.
Nowadays, it just feels a little bit different because these teams are made up of players that came from different teams.
And there's so much social media. They just keep all talk to each other,
Yeah.
recruit each other. They
Yeah.
team up. Oh,
yeah,
it
it's
drives
just,
me crazy.
It's different.
Yeah.
Dirk is the man.
It's that.
Dirk is
he
the
didn't
best.
move
Dirk's
that
the
Dirk is the
ring.
best.
He's the
Dirk is
best.
the best.
To me, it's
He's
like
a gold
it's
standard.
that 2003 class that changed everything. Just like that whole, we all love each other. We're willing
Is that
to.
the Chris Bosh, LeBron James,
Exactly, Carmelo Anthony, Dwayne Wade.
Yeah,
We'll all.
they're all
merge
vacationing together in the
Yeah.
off season and
I'm
stuff.
like, man, you guys can't be this close.
Yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
fighting
So
every year for titles.
I feel like they wanted to win a title. And you listen to interviews about Jordan and his whole view on what happened when the Big Three formed in Miami, stuff like that. He said something along the lines of, "I would have never have done that." To me, I wanted to beat those guys. I wasn't going to call Magic. I wasn't going to call Larry and say, "Hey,
Yeah.
let's make a super team and
Yeah.
go win championships." No, it's I want to prove that I can beat them. And so that mentality has kind of shifted. You're right.
Even with Kobe and Shaq, you remember, they wanted to succeed on their own so much.
Yeah.
That's what broke them apart.
Right.
Had they just had more of the current mentality, I think they would have won 6, 7, 8 rings probably.
Yeah,
during
that's
that
true.
time.
I agree.
That's crazy that they
Go-
couldn't.
Golden State hadn't really done anything to just kind of recruit players, right?
No,
They've done it through the
I
draft.
mean, they've done a
it.
great thing through the draft. I mean,
They-
think about it, their
they've
worst
done a good
their
job.
worst pick was Ezeli, and he's a solid player. But I mean, they got Thompson, and I think as a 9th pick. Curry was 5, 6, 7.
For me, that makes
So-
it a lot more impressive what Curry
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Klay Thompson and
Absolutely.
Steve Kerr is able to
Yeah,
do.
Steve Kerr deserves a lot
Draymond
of
Green was
praise.
an absolute steal.
Or
Like,
Luke
pick that.
Walton, great coach, great coach.
Like we were talking earlier about Mark Jackson, and I think he is bitter because it seemed like he got a lot out of the team when he was coaching, but then Kerr comes in and he just takes it to another level and he makes those changes.
It seemed crazy to fire him.
Yeah,
at the time
it did.
It took him to the
crazy.
But he takes David Lee out and puts in Draymond Green, and everything changes.
And he should have known to do that during his time too, because Draymond Green was incredible when he would come off the bench.
Yeah.
But he kept playing David Lee, and he kept getting beat up on defense nonstop.
Yeah.
Killed me in fantasy when he took out David Lee, man. Drafted him as a starter, and then